the magic number is always 90 days. 90 days, you can strip something down, rework it, and by the 6th month, you're already in mastery. But you have to basically tell yourself, I cannot sit here and do nothing.
Welcome to the Raquel Show. This show is for entrepreneurs who want to play bigger in business and in life. And today I have a very special guest that I have known for many, many years. And she is one that has spoken in our mastermind. She's been a guest in our group because I truly respect what she has built. And she is one of the most humble leaders that I've ever met and business owners that I've ever met. She's a top producer in the Orange County market, selling over $1.3 billion in real estate. And she's built one of the most amazing teams in the country by being relationship driven. And it's proved herself because her team has been able to help not only clients, their community, but also like just different generations. And that speaks for itself. She's one of the top teams, like I said, in Southern California because of her drive, her commitment to her clients and her community. Welcome to the show, Elizabeth Doe.
Thank you, Raquel. That's such an awesome introduction. I really appreciate that.
Well, you're an awesome person that I've known for many years that I've highly respected and admired and adored. And it's like somebody that if you told me something, I would like completely listen to you. Right. So
do you remember when we met?
At like family or mega camp or
it was one of the KW events, and we're sitting next to each other, getting to know each other through Becky.
Yes.
And all of a sudden you went into your usual Raquel coaching mode. It was so natural. And then I remember you slipping me a name and number of somebody that I needed for my business. And Ryan is still with us today, thanks to you.
Oh my gosh, I have like chills. And I love that story so much. And every time I see you guys on social media today, that I'm just like, wow, what a powerful duo, because there's not a lot of people that can work and mesh that well many, many years later through different cycles, right?
But what's most important is you're such a natural coach, and you did that at like a luncheon, and I didn't even know you, and you saw this piece and component of my business that I needed. So thank you.
I love connecting good humans together. That's for sure.
Thank you.
So I want to dive in. You're one of the top real estate like entrepreneurs, agents that I know in one of the most competitive markets in the country. And to give just like our listeners today, for those that are listening or watching this on YouTube, is give people a snapshot of what your team looks like today, how many volumes, how many units, and then what do you guys like projecting maybe from last year to this year?
Yeah. So obviously in the last 2 years, all of us had great numbers. So last year, as an example, we transacted 180 sides, close to a little bit over 200 million. We're here in Orange County. So our average price point is 950,000, which is a really nice price point. Today, being 2023 year to date, we're at 60 sides at 62 million. So you could see already it's coming down quite a bit. The industry's down by 39%. So,
almost 40%. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're really, trying to push those units back up, but it's a little tug of war right now with the market.
Yeah. And I wanted you to explain that because you have been in this business for a while, right? Yeah. You are one that actually you've studied finance as well. You understand data. And that's what I respect about you as a business owner is you're not just putting and producing high numbers and making no profit, right? So how have you pivoted as a leader from last year to this year, knowing that the market is down almost 40%?
Yeah, the finance background helped a lot because the signs were already showing up last year, right? Mm-hmm. So I wasn't trying to paint fear in my team, but we were already scaling back on a lot of expenses last year coming into this year. So by coming into this year, we had already reduced costs by about 22%. So I wasn't, I wasn't afraid coming into this year, but because we already planned ahead.
Mhm.
As far as team members and staffing, we didn't lay anyone off. So that's a good sign. But we also started seeing, with team members, the lack of accountability and the lack of change coming into this market. So I
Mhm.
think that with just, educating them as much as possible, some naturally decided that this wasn't a good fit for them anymore.
Yeah. How many people do you have on your team today?
So last year we had 23. Right now, today, 18. So we scaled down a little bit.
And you said accountability. What had changed now that you saw the numbers coming, you reduced expenses? What had to change in accountability for your team? Because obviously we had, like you said, unicorn
Yeah.
years the last couple of years. What did you have to change in your accountability system, if you did at all, knowing what you saw with the numbers?
So we all have to lead generate more, including myself, right?
Hmm.
So it's all a numbers game. And there are a lot of agents who fight the system and who say, no, there's an easier way. Well, the reality is there is no easy way. It's a different way and we all have to do it, right?
Yeah.
So then bringing up those numbers, looking at goals again, and then reestablishing what do those numbers mean. So our team, we have two coaches. We have our business coach who coaches our sales agents and our administrative on business. And then we have a life coach.
Hmm.
And so everyone has access to both of our coaches. And so there are different things that's going on in our lives, in our life, that you can relate to with a life coach. And then there's business.
Hmm.
So there were team members who fought both coaches, meaning they didn't want that accountability. So in the end, there could be a better and easier way. I'm not sure for them, but it didn't work for us in here.
Got it. So what have you found as a team owner? You've been building your team or you've had your team for over like a decade.
Yeah.
What have you found that, and of course, every market it changes. What have you found has been successful for getting your agents into production fairly quickly?
That's a great question. So I obviously follow, Gary Keller, the MRA model. Um, and I've read it 9 times. And he says over and over again that if you were to do every single thing he said in there correctly and not fight it, you could build a successful team in less than 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've been doing the team concept for close to 12 years now. In total, I've been in the business 21. So clearly I didn't listen to it all the way through. We're all natural at saying, no, I have a better way, right? So what I feel like I've done differently, not only with me as a CEO, but by having agents come onto this team, I have actually told them that if you were to go out there and do it on your own, you would be in my position, which is 21 years.
Mm-hmm.
But if you join this team, our team here, and with all the systems that we have in place, you actually can be in production with a consistent business in less than 3 years. So I've already tested it. I've already faltered. I've already fumbled with different team members and talent that I've already done that part for my team. So now when they come on board with us, they will see that they have a book of business, even if they're brand new. They don't even know a thing about real estate. They'll be in production and have a full, consistent business within 2 to 2.5 years. And it's proven in here.
I love that. Is it because you've built your lead sources and business and database that you're able to give the agents that come on your team like warm referrals or you've given them a system that they can generate their own business, however that is, so that they have a sustainable business that's consistent in 2 years or less?
Right. So yeah, we like to call it a plug and play, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we also have to make sure that the agent is part of our culture. So that's really important. And they do go through our 90-day training program before they even graduate into what we call a junior agent. So really, they're not there yet in the first 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
Once they've proven themselves as a team member, a true team member, within 90 days, they are plugging into the junior system, which they are attached to a senior agent.
Mhm.
From that could be another 90 days right there. So if they're proving themselves very well with shadowing and everything and doing all the checklist items and meeting with their coaches, after that 90-day period, they could be into what we call a core agent, which is now plugging into warm leads and going through the process. But they have to maintain our level of customer service.
I love that. You've been a really big on customer service. It's probably why you built a very sustainable business when it comes to like client relationships. We talked about different generations. What would you say are three key things if an agent's listening right now, how you have built and maintained relationships with your clients throughout all these years?
Yeah, it's a long cycle. And I think that, mindset wise, coming into real estate with my financial background and my father's background in business,
Mhm.
I know that what I wanted to build was long term. So that the mindset had to go in first of, oh, this is real estate, right? People don't switch out their homes as quickly. And this was 20 years ago. So people didn't switch their homes. It was like they stayed in it, right? Now
Mhm.
it's like 3 to 7 years. So originally when I got in, it was that could be it. I may not see that client again.
Mhm.
So what I did was I attached myself to their family from a generational standpoint. So when I thought about that way, then I knew that I had to keep in contact with them very often. So, we get busy, real estate agents, we get busy. We're trying to build our own family. We're trying to build our business. So then we're constantly asking ourselves, how do we maintain and keep in touch with our clients at a high level? So then I brought in doing a lot of events. So events allows me to leverage myself. So, our industry, we're always talking about leverage, right? So some of us think, oh, let me go visit my client one-on-one. Well, that's a lot of clients. So then
Mhm.
you have to think, how do I leverage myself and still keep in touch?
Mhm.
Well, that's when the events started happening. And I have one event a month. And so a lot of it could be a class, it could be a fun event, or it could be our very popular client appreciation party. But the events could last an hour, no more than two. But if you get 50 of your clients to show up, you just leverage your time
Yeah.
because you're not going one on one with them.
Mhm.
There's you and 50 other clients, right?
Yeah.
So then that was the relationship part of it that kept me in touch with them. And we're at 72% repeat business. So our database is constantly coming back to us. The relationship part is maintaining relationships, but it doesn't mean that you have to be in front of them one on one. You could also look at it from a larger scale.
What a great perspective. And if you guys haven't, we're going to also drop her like contact or her social handles. If you haven't seen like Liz's client appreciation party, I remember when I first met her, I'm like, one day I'm going to be invited to one of her client appreciation party because it's to the nine. Like she does client appreciation to another level. And I love how you have used that to leverage your time, but also foster, the keeping in touch with the clients and also having other clients meet other clients. And it could be a connection piece. Somebody could be a handyman, a carpet person, or whoever in that client appreciation party.
I love that you bring that up because it's connecting people.
Mhm.
So we're connecting people. We are a resource. So that's another piece of our business is on my website. We have a link and it's kind of funny. We call it Liz's Rolodex, if anyone even remembers what a Rolodex is. But it's catchy. It's just a catchy phrase. People laugh, but it's basically me sharing all my resources.
I love it. I love
So
it.
yeah,
That's really cool. The Elizabeth Doe team has been a household name in Southern California. And many people probably, when they look at your volume and they've looked at you over the years, say, wow, look at her business today. But there's probably what I know with entrepreneurs, the things that you've overcome. And, it hasn't always been rosy, especially with all the cycles that you've been through. What have been some of the challenges for those that are listening right now that you've faced when it came to building your real estate business or your real estate team?
Challenges that we could not control is the market.
Mhm.
Um, Challenges within ourself is ourself. We are our worst enemy, right?
Mhm.
So the market challenge, if I could go back in time and look at the three different market challenges, every time they came, I hunkered down, I looked at my books, and I made changes to my marketing and my strategies. And I had to do it quickly. So we use the word pivot,
Mhm.
but it's not easy to do that
Mhm.
because we are human and naturally we want to say, like, no, I'm just going to keep doing this and everything will go away, but it's not going to.
Mhm.
So we have to just strip everything apart and rework everything. And to me, the magic number is always 90 days. So 90 days, you can strip something down, rework it, and by the 6th month, you're already in mastery. But you have to basically tell yourself, I cannot sit here and do nothing. Second part is us and our mindset and how we are, like I say, we are our own enemy. So whether there is a market shift or not, but maybe there's a technology shift, right?
Mhm.
Or there's an industry shift, whatever that may be, we have to ask ourselves, what do I need to do? And how am I going to get out of this position to get into a better position?
Mhm.
I think that with coaching and having a mastermind group, it's really important to be around people that are going to help you and call out some of your flaws.
Yeah.
I think that again, that's us being vulnerable to saying, I have made mistakes. I need to make changes. Somebody help me get there.
Mhm. And that's usually when you can really level up your business is when you have awareness of like the mistakes that you did. When you stay in denial is where you see it with business owners, like the ones that didn't like pivot really fast because they were in denial of what was really happening. Even this year, 2023, the beginning, right? We saw those coming at the end of Q3. Q4 was really bad for a lot of people. So coming into 2023, the first 6 months, a lot of agents struggled, with pivoting their business and their activities and their habits because they got comfortable. How do you ensure high level productivity and performance in your team today?
So we'll take a step back. Being I wear my CEO hat now, it's different that when I'm in this position, I'm the visionary and I am to inspire my team versus I am not the one to hold them accountable. That's why we have our coaches, right? And it's interesting when you have the right people and you give them the right tools, you actually don't have to hold them as accountable as you think.
Mm-hmm.
They naturally come to you, even if they met with their coach for the day or they had a team huddle, but they'll naturally come to you and say, I want to do this in my business now, and I want to be uncomfortable. So those are the conversations that are powerful for me now with my team is that I'm looking for them to come to me and not for me to come to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So my job is to really provide them the right tools and they'll get there,
Mm-hmm.
get there on their own. And if they say, hey, Liz, I want to master being a listing agent and you did that and you did 100 listings in a year. How did you do it? Now we're talking, right?
Yeah.
But to go, hey Liz, I didn't make my calls today. What do you think my problem is? Well, that.
Oh my God. So true. Right.
Yes.
It's just a different type of conversations can feed different types of energy, especially for a CEO. You've been able to retain several of your agents. You've had people even support admin that have been with you for many, many years. And I believe it's a great quality that you have as a leader. What has been the secret to having people that have that longevity with a team? Or
I'm
do you
s-
just hire good people all the time and never made a mistake hiring?
Maybe I got lucky. Yeah, no, there's been turnover.
Okay.
And I'll say this, the turnover 10 years ago versus today is very different. So I've had my longest team member we had for 14 years, and she retired. So it's a positive thing. But then there was also the growth for her was that there was a big influx of the millennial and Gen Z, and the connection wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
So really, we as leadership have to also change with the new generation. So instead of me fighting millennials, I'm going, hey, what are you going to teach me? Right? Because I got a few things to teach you. What are you going to teach me? So what's interesting when we look at generationally is that millennials are now at 39% of the workforce. It might be even up to 42%, I read somewhere. So, they're here to stay, right? So maybe our older generation, they're not used to the way the millennials do business. So they're fighting that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can't fight that anymore. We have to go with it and say, how are we going to all work together? So there's a big shift in just the demographic, in my opinion. And now today, our team we're like literally probably half of our staff is millennials. So there's also a transition there in that millennials, because they're so quick with the technology, and that's what they're teaching me, is that they need to be challenged often or they get bored. So then there's that turnover, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm learning to work with that as well and keep them going and keep them motivated and challenged so that they stay here and they see real estate as their career.
So good. And you bring up two things, right? As we evolve as business owners, there's the tech side that has changed our business over the years, as well as social media. What have you guys done in your business? How have you guys adapted? Because if you would have told me 5 years ago that we were going to be doing videos and we would have to learn about editing and attracting clients through social media, I wouldn't have believed you, right?
Yeah, I mean, I love your presence now online, but you're absolutely right. I mean, that was a pivot in itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just to figure out what your content is and what audiences want. In the beginning, I thought you needed a, really high tech room to make things happen. And, we have Hope who's in our marketing, and she said, no, I just use the iPhone and you're good. I'm like, that's it. And she said, the more raw it is, the better it looks. Right. Yeah. So then I was like, okay, again, they're teaching us and then we're teaching them. So the turnover, I'll bring that point back up. I think a lot of us leaders, we focus so much on, oh, what happened to that team member? Or, did I do something wrong? And the thing is, we got to take a step back again. Things have changed so rapidly. Mm-hmm. We have to look at our organization and look at the functionality of each department, each person, and see, do they really fit in the organization anymore? Or are they pivoting with where we are? If not, we can also educate each other and say, look, we have to make changes as well as people, right? Yeah. And so once we make changes as people, then we can all work together and make it seamless for everyone. And I think that's really valuable.
Yeah. And change is not very easy for a lot of people, especially when the world's moving fast. Yeah. I've seen it move fast probably since the pandemic with social media, how agents are attracting business today, getting some of the old school and the new school like together. But then you also have like the tech piece of AI, and I think it's going to move even faster. And I think teams are going to look a lot different.
Yes. And I love that you bring that up, because when I started reading about AI, I'm going, oh, great. Right. But then my team goes, well, wait, hey, we need to do this, that, and the other. And when I thought about it, I said, hey, this could eliminate a lot of this old and very expensive marketing that we're doing. They said, exactly, Liz. And so I said, okay, I'm ready for the change.
Yeah, I love it. Like I said, the thing about real estate and business is it's always evolving. And sometimes you just don't know, but it's like, you got to embrace instead of be scared about it. It's like, if people are going to start talking about it, it's definitely not going away. Right. And it's like, how can I leverage some of these tools to our business's benefit, our team's benefit? Right. You have studied finance. There's one thing that I know about you, and we kind of talked about this, is profitability. What lessons have you learned when it comes to, and this is something that I see when I coach different brokerages, different team owners, is managing resources and finance while scaling your business. It's not an easy task to do. It's not something that we learned in real estate school. How have you been able to do that at, like you said earlier, you're like 3 months ahead. You were like cutting things. Like, are there signs that you watch out for? Are there things that you read that you're like, okay, stuff's about to hit differently?
Yeah. I'll take it back to when I was a solo agent. That way,
Mhm.
a lot of people can connect with this is that when I was a solo agent, I looked at my paycheck, or I should say paycheck, commission check, and said, this whole check is not mine. So how I would split it up is a third, a third, a third. Okay. So a third automatically goes to the tax account. The other third goes to the business. That means that's the reinvestment. That's the marketing. And now today it's staffing and overhead and all this. The last third is to myself, which is my family.
Mhm.
So I learned to live on that third. Okay. And when I built up the team, or when I decided to build a team, I continuously added that model and I never let it go. So I don't pay myself some extreme salary. Okay. But also there's a lot of investment back into the company. And by doing that, you're always going to be ahead of the game.
Mhm.
Because what a lot of us CEOs tend to do is we commingle money,
Mhm.
and then we are going into a gray area. When the market shifts, we don't know what is our money and what the business money is.
Mhm.
We do that, that's when we start faltering and we can't see straight. They always say that when the market or anything's going on and our mind's not clear, that's when we crumble. And sometimes when we crumble, it takes us sometimes 12 months to get back on our feet.
Mhm.
Financial burden can do that to us very quickly. So even when the market was great the last 2 years, I still adopted the third, third, third. It didn't matter. We were making a lot of money and it was still a third, third, third. Now,
Mhm.
when we add the fact that real estate agents made so much money in this last 2 years, we also had to pay a lot of taxes.
Mhm.
So if we did it right, then we could have used these models called cost segregation if we were investing. Remember, we talked about third tax, a third investment into the company. But in our case, if we're making excess money, a third of that should have gone to new investments, not the company, and then ourselves, a third.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
therefore, we could have saw straight that we could have been investing in real estate and using the cost segregation model and saving on taxes. So
Mhm.
it's not a fancy thing that people want to talk about.
Yeah.
It's a responsible thing to talk about. But being that we're in another market shift, you can always start now and
Yeah.
do this third model and adapt it going forward all the time, no matter what market we're in.
Sometimes it's the unsexy things that
Yes.
make us the most wealthiest,
Yeah.
right? So it's like doing your calls is the most unsexy things, but it's going to make you the most money.
Yeah. And Raquel, I'll say that for the listeners, they're going to say, oh, but that's so responsible and you want to live life and all that. That's my husband because he's always saying, wait, that's a lot of money. Can we go buy this, that, and the other? And I said, nope, because we're living on the third. So there's always the one in the marriage, right? That wants to spend it all, and then the other one's responsible. But at the end of the day, Dave and I have been together 29 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And he always says, I fight my wife, but at the end of the day, because of her, we still have a roof over our head. So she's doing something right.
Yeah, I love that. And so for those that are listening, I think you brought up a lot of things like cost segregation, investing for your future, whether it's through other real estate investments. And as you start to scale your business, you've seen your income grow from a solo agent to a team owner, and you have adopted these principles of like the third, the third, the third. So when you make, let's just say for the people that are listening, you make, let's say double or triple the income that you made a year ago. would you still apply the third, or it's like you have the thirds from the year previous and all that stack cash you're putting into investments? Just
Yeah.
curious.
Definitely investments.
Yeah.
So I don't pay myself. And when I say I don't pay myself, I have my salary,
Mhm.
right? And it's already established number. But the excess cash that, were a blessing from the market,
Mhm.
they went into an investment fund. And until those investments were producing passive cash,
Mhm.
I did not have any fun money. So I have fun money, guys. I have, and I think, Raquel might know, but I have a lot of fun things in my closet. I have cars. I do live life. But that fun money didn't happen until it became passive.
Correct.
That's the key. Because
Yeah.
once you invest your money and it becomes passive, meaning it's making money for you, you don't deserve. It's like I use this like slap your hand, you
Yeah.
don't deserve it. Because until it's passive, it's not fun.
Yeah.
It needs to be working,
Yeah.
right? So my passive is great. And that's where I get to use that passive money for fun things.
I love it. I love it. It's no different than when I speak to younger entrepreneurs that are just starting out, young crowd. And I tell them that like this Valentino belt or this Louis Vuitton purse did not go on a credit card. It came from passive income. And that's how you really want to think about your life, right? It's like, how can I invest the extra money that I have into real estate or into other investments, whether it's businesses and, in real estate or stocks or whatever, but like take that and reward yourself. Don't reward yourself before you make the money.
Exactly. It's no fun anymore.
No, not at all.
A credit card and you got to pay for it 2 years from now. It's not fun.
No. And you're paying like, unless you understand the point game system, right? And you know how to optimize points and you know how to pay things off, then I can see certain things like that. Right. But you learn that later on.
Love that you brought up the point system because that's an awesome way to benefit us as well.
Yeah, especially even as a business owner, like commingling, right? But it's like having a business credit card and why you do certain things, but I can jam out about all that stuff. So as you look back at your journey, what's one thing that you wish you would have known sooner, Liz?
One thing I wish I would have known sooner. I think that, I came in the business at 21 years old. And I think the journey and the road that I've been on to me was semi-rewarding until it didn't feel inspiring anymore. So I'm going to be a little vulnerable here is I'm just saying that at one point I felt like I was pushing so hard to get to get the team and myself to the top that there were times when I felt like there wasn't an inspiring piece to it anymore. And so why I say that is we have our life coach and she tells us at some point during any of your journey or your struggles, we tend to bring the past, which could be our family or whatever struggle that we're having and the passion around why we work so hard. But sometimes take a moment and breathe and re-engage the now and make sure that we are currently in the now and that we're happy. Because when we're not, other people see that and then it doesn't become rewarding anymore because it just feels like we're grinding. So we got to remember to review and reevaluate ourselves personally to ensure that we don't lose anything along the way. And sometimes once we know that we lost that feeling, it's okay to recheck ourselves, but don't wait too long.
Well, thank you for being so vulnerable because, like I said, when people see you and I see you, it's like, oh, she's never had a down moment or she's never had to check herself. And I think that it happens with all entrepreneurs. There comes a time, no matter where you're at, what level of success, where you question yourself or you're just not as inspired to do some of the things or your ideal goal is no longer your ideal goal, right? And that's okay, right? And it's really enjoying and having joy in the moment and in the presence.
And I'll share that I spoke at a market center, Keller Williams Market Center recently, and it was a great group of people. It was like about 200 people and everyone looked happy, but very stressed. And I could feel it in the room. And you know what I said to them? I said, hey guys, it's not a test. If you're working with a group of people that you're calling each other a team, and you really know that it's not working out, turn to each other and have that conversation quicker. That way you can still be friends, right? Rather, we wait until it's too late and things crumble, and then it takes a long time to get up.
Yeah.
So, you can always address these conversations a lot faster than you think.
Such wise words from Liz. What's next for you, my friend? How are you looking at the future? How are you looking at positioning your business and your team for the future?
Yeah, we are on a different journey, our team this time. There's, like I said, there's a lot of great changes. And I heard you talk about AI, and that's something that we're looking into. But also me as a leader, as I mentioned, I'm looking at more of my team to teach me this time around. And I'm only here to envision for them, see some roadblocks that they could face and help them through those hurdles. But there's so much opportunity out in the marketplace. And I'm just seeing, only positivity at this point. We're not trying to scale the team any larger. We're keeping it small as we are. We have a property management division that you know about. And in that division alone, there's so many new and upcoming things that's going to happen and bring business to the Elizabeth Doe team. So we're working on very small steps and not trying to scale too big, but just make it nice and simple and enjoyable for everyone.
I love it. You've dropped a lot of wisdom, a lot of knowledge and nuggets with our community today. Where can people connect with you?
I'm on Facebook and Instagram. So on Facebook, you just look me up, Elizabeth Doe, and then on Instagram, Elizabeth Doe Team.
And we will include it in the show notes. And as we wrap up, there's always one question that I ask every guest that comes on our show is, what does Liz do to play bigger in business and in life?
I want to give everyone advice that for me at this point in my life, as I mentioned, enjoy the journey, be happy, find an inspiration, and be an inspiration for people, because that will make you feel so loved, so happy, and so yourself.
I have appreciated your time. I know you're a very busy person. Thank you so much for being on our show. And as always, I appreciate you. I can't wait to continue to support you. And I am so excited to keep cheering you on as you play bigger, my friend.
Thank you, Raquel. I appreciate you a lot, always.
Thank
Bye.
you.